welcome to Turn the Page, the official podcast of the Syosset Public Library.
Hi, welcome to Syosset Library's Turn the Page podcast. I am Jessica. I am your host today, and I'm really excited to talk to this author. We actually just had a really fun pre-interview where we talked a little bit about Syosset and how she knew somebody from around here. But the book itself has one of those titles that you read it and you're like, well, now I have to read this book because that is a great title. And it's also a great book. So welcome, Sarah Harman. Tell us about All the Other Mothers Hate Me.
Jessica, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. All the Other Mothers Hate Me is my debut novel, and it's sort of a mystery for people who don't read mystery novels normally. Like, it's kind of a satirical thriller. It's about a washed-up girl band singer named Florence Grimes, who almost made it famous when she was 19, and now she's 31, slumming around London, spending all of her dwindling royalty checks on elaborate nail art until the day her son's 10-year-old bully mysteriously vanishes on a class trip and her son becomes the prime suspect. And then Florence has to go and find the missing boy and clear her son's name.
I really enjoyed it, and I like that you kind of, I like that it's like it did kind of way between mystery more so than thriller, but it was in a very pleasant way. And I felt like, you read a lot about characters that are kind of unlikable, and Florence is definitely one of those, but at the same time, you get it. You're just like, she's a bit of a hot mess, but
Yeah.
you also empathize with her. And I empathized with just how she felt about her son, and what a tough position she was in. So first of all, so you're living in London, right?
I am. Yeah, I live in London.
And Florence is an American who moved to London. Um, did that play into your concept for this story at all?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, so much of it was inspired by standing at the school gates, being an American, feeling out of place, and some of that is transposed onto the character of Florence. This is not an autobiographical book. Like my kids are much younger than the kids in this book. They've never gone missing. They've never been bullied. They don't go to school really. Like it's made up, but it was certainly inspired by the feeling of being an outsider, which Florence very much is. Her son goes to a really elite private school, a really expensive school in London that's paid for by her ex-husband. Florence is a washed-up girl band singer. She can barely pay her living expenses and her weekly nail appointments. She's very much a fish out of water in this environment. I thought that was a really fun thing to look at, particularly being an American in London. Like, you're just so aware of how omnipresent the class system here is. And I always felt like, as an American, I'm a little bit exempted from it. Like, I'm not part of that. And I don't fully understand it, but I'm fascinated by it. And so I wanted to take a crack at sort of deconstructing it a little bit in the book.
So all the other mothers do hate Florence for a very specific reason, which I'm not going to get into because she kind of she goes through it. But she ends up reluctantly connecting with a new mom who comes to the school with her twins, who is also an American. And part of the fact that they're, at first she's reluctant, and the problem is that while, yeah, her son's bully goes missing, they were together when the missing happened. And there is a connection that could implicate Florence's son. And the new mother, who does not have any reason to hate her at the moment, tries to befriend her, much to Florence's reluctance. But it ends up being a connection that just drives the story in such a fun way. So I suppose, like, obviously the book is not autobiographical, but when you were putting together the characters and, the different moms, and you kind of realized how Jenny and Florence were going to actually build a friendship, how did that all come together for you?
So I think there's two things. Like I've lived overseas my entire adult life, and you always like in various countries, not just the UK. And it's funny how you always like end up finding the other Americans, and even if you actually don't like them, there's something that brings you together about like the experience of being foreigners in a different country, and you end up talking to these people and sometimes being friends with these people that you actually have nothing in common with. So that's a little bit of the Florence and Jenny dynamic. And also, as you alluded to, like this book is a mystery. There is a mystery that needs solving. And I realized really quickly that Florence was not going to be capable of solving a mystery on her own. She's a hot mess. Like she can barely get her son to school on time. She's not going to crack the case. I needed to bring in someone competent who could help drive the sleuthing. And Jenny is a hard-charging, successful lawyer, sort of on the cusp of her own burnout, but she's got the skills. She's organized, she's smart, she's driven, and I needed a character like her who could actually start to unravel some of the clues. So bringing them together in sort of like a Thelma and Louise way was really fun. And it reminded me of some of my own friendships being an expat overseas. The way you just end up with whoever's there.
They were a really fun dynamic. I was thrilled to see their friendship unfold, especially because Florence couldn't 100% share everything with Jenny. And it was interesting to watch her become, I don't even want to necessarily say less of a hot mess or more of a likable character, but, kind of start to address certain things about herself as Jenny almost wore her down and she started to realize, yeah, we get along well and we kind of like each other. I just loved it. It was just such a fun book. So this is your debut. How did you all begin with the writing? Like, how did you get to start writing this particular book? You don't have a secret girl band history yourself, do you?
I do not. No. No. So I started writing this book after I sort of burnt out on my first career as a journalist and a news reporter. And I was an English major in college. I always like dreamed of writing a book, but it was the kind of thing that I thought, well, I'll do that one day when I have time. And fortunately, I never had time, so I never had to actually try and do it. And then I found myself unemployed and I was like, oh my God, I have to actually just do that thing I always said I was going to do. And it was really scary because if you do the thing you've always dreamed of and you fail at it, like what then? It felt nice to have this idea of writing a book in my back pocket and never actually take it out. So, yeah, it took some it took some working up to. But I knew from the beginning like I wanted this to be a lighthearted book. The world is a dumpster fire. I don't want to write a book where bad things happen to children. I was a news reporter for like 15 years. There's just enough of that in the world. And I wanted this to be kind of like, I know it sounds sacrilegious, but like a funny story about a missing kid where, spoiler alert, nothing bad happens to the kid at the end. Like, and I think that maybe that's nice to know going into it. Like, something I always wonder when I pick up a book or watch a TV show, like, how dark is this gonna get? Like, am I up for this at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday night, or is this gonna open like the basket of worries? And I think this is a book that you can kind of enjoy and hopefully go on the twisted mystery, but it doesn't take you to too dark of a place.
No, and I liked it. I mean, it might not be a cozy mystery, but it had vibes that were like it wasn't like you said, it doesn't go to two dark places. And it's a mystery for mystery people. It's a mystery that's cozy enough for cozy mystery people, but it's not so much like if people are afraid of cozy mystery because they think it means one thing, it's not, it's just it really just transcended a bunch of different stereotypes of many things. And that's one thing I really, really loved about it. I also just I loved Florence as a mother. She was such a great mother. I felt for her with her situation with her ex. I felt for her just, being like, look, this kid went missing. He was terrible to him, but he shouldn't be missing. But also, I want to do this because I don't want my son to get in trouble for something he didn't do. And
Yeah.
it was all just very relatable. And then I also found Jenny very relatable with her ridiculous ambition, all of this stuff that women are supposed to be doing. And she's just going to do it her way. And she's a control freak, but she's a lovable control freak. And the two of them together were just so great.
Oh, thank you. I know one of the things that I was thinking about when I was writing was how Florence and Jenny have taken really different paths in life, right? Florence has capitalized on her youth and her looks, and she's probably never read a book in her life, and it's gotten her nowhere. And Jenny has been totally career driven, career focused. She doesn't have a lot of friends or hobbies, but she's really successful at work. And somehow both of them have ended up in this place where they're really lonely and neither of them are feeling fulfilled. And so I thought it was interesting to kind of bring them together and look at what does each of them need from the other? What is each of them getting out of this friendship, but also this investigation?
I don't want to spoil anything. There are some really good twists. I actually was pleased because I thought I figured out what was going to happen and I didn't. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's great. I love it.
That
But
thrills me.
yeah, but I do want to ask, will we see more of these two characters together? Because I would totally read other mysteries where they team up.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice to hear. Never say never. We'll see what the publishing gods decide. But I am working on a screen adaptation for Disney Plus, so hopefully we'll get to see them on the screen and brought to life by some amazing actors.
That's cool. I would almost want to ask you what your dream cast would be, but I don't want to get you in trouble with the mouse and all of his people.
Well, you know what I would say, Jessica? Like I'm a debut author. I feel like the publisher really took a chance on me. I would love to see like maybe a more unknown actress get a chance to do this role and have it be the start of a really amazing career because I think it is such a juicy role. There is so much like bad behavior and mischief and shenanigans. So I'd love to see someone that maybe is not a household name get a shot at it. But obviously Disney is going to do the casting and I have absolutely no idea.
Fabulous. Oh my goodness. No, that's actually really fun. This is definitely a book I think that lends itself very much to a screen. But
Thank you.
I would so read more of Jenny and Florence getting into shenanigans together and stuff.
Thank you so much. It's really nice of you to say.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, are you working on another book, actually? That's another question. I mean, working on a screenplay pretty much answers, are you working on anything else? But I'm curious if you are working on another book.
I have another idea kicking around with different characters. But yeah, the TV stuff has kept me pretty busy. But yeah, it's always good to have like something in your back pocket. It's just fun, like a little secret thing to work on and see where it goes.
Well, thank you again. This was Jessica with Syosset's Turn the Page podcast. I hope to speak to you again, Sarah, because this was great.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk with you, Jessica.
All right, we are going to close this chapter of Turn the Page.
It's time to close this chapter of Turn the Page. Join us for the next episode.